Now we saw JavaScript-based animations in action with help of these special events, and I just want to emphasize again that these events are always emitted no matter if you control your animation with JavaScript or not. If you control it with CSS as we did before, those events are also emitted so that you can run any code you want. But you can also leverage those events, as you saw in the last lecture, to control the entire animation through JavaScript, either through your own JavaScript code as we did it, or by using another third-party JavaScript animation library, for example. Now, if you control your entire animation through JavaScript, as we're doing it here on this paragraph now, you can add another property on this transition. Instead of setting a name, which we don't need now, you can add the CSS prop and bind it to false. Now, what does this do? This tells Vue that this transition, controlled by this transition component on this paragraph, will not use CSS. It will not use a CSS transition or a CSS animation defined in CSS code. Instead, the entire transition will be controlled through JavaScript. And why is this a helpful piece of information we can pass to Vue? It's technically not required. As you saw, it worked. But now, by passing this prop, we tell Vue that it doesn't even need to search for the respective CSS classes in our CSS code for this transition. It doesn't even need to try to read the duration from our CSS code, because it won't find it, because we're not using CSS code. Therefore, it skips this CSS analysis step. It skips searching for the respective CSS classes and the duration of this animation in CSS, and that simply improves performance a little bit, because it doesn't need to do this unnecessary step. Hence, you should of course only add CSS false if you really don't use CSS code for this transition. And for example, on the other transition usages we have here, like on these two alternative buttons, we absolutely must not set CSS to false, because there we are relying on CSS transitions and animations. But if you don't do that, if you just control your animation through JavaScript only, then you can set CSS to false to optimize performance. With that, if I reload, this still works as before, but now even a bit more performant. We'll not notice the difference here, but it is there, and tiny things like that can make your app faster in the end.